work on a Stihl chainsaw. And look what it is. A Magnum Stihl 066. First time I ever worked on one of these. I did take a quick look through the cylinder, through the spark plug. It looks like it might be stored up. It feels like it's got pretty good compression. The saw is a fairly heavy saw, and it pulls like it's really easy. But when that spark plug is in it, boy, she got some compression anyway. So I'm going to take a look at the coil because I can't even get a feeler gauge between that coil and the flywheel at all. It is giving me spark. I can also see scuffing on the flywheel right across the magnets. So I'm assuming it's part of the reason. I mean, it does give a little tiny pop. That's about all it does. She won't fire. Start up and run. So I'm gonna adjust that first. Pour a little gas down the carburetor again and try it again. But this will be the first time I've worked on a Magnum Stihl 066, and it'll be fun. So I got her chucked up in my saw stand. So my saw stand can rotate like this. I can get it to tilt like this by loosening up here. Like I said, I can rotate it from here by loosening up here. And then I can spin it in any location because I have it in my vise and I just leave my vise loose. I seen one of these that somebody was using, so well, hell, I can build that. And basically, this is a pipe inside of a pipe with some all thread, with some washers, and this washer here is greased. I might eventually get to the point to where I might use a there's a flat bearing that I could stick into here that will make things a little bit easier. I could tighten it up and get it loose a little easier, but it will clamp down pretty hard. So I'm getting ready to take the side cover off and do an adjustment on the coil. You got a screw missing there, and only that screw and this screw up here, they're only two holding it on. It did not have a filter when the man brought it to me, and I could tell that somebody has tried to work on it. I believe this coil is probably a new coil because it's fairly clean looking. Plus all this is very soft and pliable. So this stuff would be a little stiffer and dirtier if it was aged as long as the saw is, as old as the saw is. But so I'm thinking that's new. Plus this is out of place. Other than that, I think everything's there, but it looks like there might be some screws missing. Like I said, there was no filter. So if I can get this saw running and they want to spend the money on getting it running. So right now I'm just kind of assessing the saw, going to get a parts list, idea on a price on parts, then it'll be plus my labor. I'll estimate that. So I've got the saw burnt down this far. I'm getting ready to pull the cylinder off, got the muffler off, then take assemblies all off. What I've noticed, if you're able to see in there, you see all that? Yeah, that's not staining, that's actual scoring. I can take a pick and feel all the roughness as I drag the pig across it lightly. And I can roll this piston up. It's the same thing on the exhaust side. Yes, all scored up. That's not staining, it's scoring. But it might be salvageable, maybe not, but I'm going to pull the cylinder off and just take a good look in there too. When I look through the intake side, I can see the exhaust side is scratched up on the cylinder, and the same way when I look through the exhaust side, I can see that the intake side is scratched up on the cylinder also. Alright, I got the cylinder off, and as you can see, yeah, that piston is scoring up pretty good. Run my fingernail across there and I can catch all that. Same way on the exhaust side. Exhaust side not all that great either. And then the rings are actually stuck in the piston right there, where the metal of the piston is kind of like smeared over it and trapped them in there. So connecting rod looks real good. There's no discoloration like it went through a bad heat or anything like that. The wrist pin end of it feels good. I don't feel no play there. The connecting rod end, I don't feel any play in that, so that's good. The bearings, I can't get no play or movement out of the bearing on the flywheel side. And I don't feel any play on the PTO side of the saw. So I think the bearings are fine. I would say that the bearings feel good and smooth. So I feel the magnet catching there. I feel the piston clunking around there. But everything, the bearings feel smooth. So I think the bearings are good. What I would do though, since this saw is so old, is I'd put PTO crankshaft seals in one way side. I'd at least do that, and hopefully I can do that without splitting the case. I'm not sure if I can on this model. I'll have to look at it first. Definitely do the seals, because if you don't, as old as this saw is, you're liable to bring it back a month, 2 months, a year later. The saw's not running right. And you sit there and try to tune it, and it keeps losing its tune, and then you know, hey, I got an air leak somewhere. And an air leak could be coming around the crank seals. But there's many places that an air leak can happen. So you got the case gasket. You can come in there. You can come around the base gasket. You can come in around your seals on your crankshaft. You can come around this pulse line, which I'm replacing this pulse line too, because as you can see, I can easily turn it on the barb. So there's no, it's not even trying to grab a hold of that barb anymore. And then I can sit there and push it in and out real easy. It's just not trying to do anything anymore. I can easily pull it off. So it's dried out. It's kind of hard. It shrunk a little bit because it pulled itself off the carburetor. And at some point, I believe this thing, the cylinder ran hot. And it could have ran hot because of an air leak. She could have ran lean. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if somebody stuck a screwdriver in there or what. I could have ran lean, possibly from here, because that was loose. Crank seals could be no good. The base gasket was not in there very well. It didn't line up very well like it's supposed to. When I took it off, so this is how it was. Alright, so you can see how this was peeled open. There's nothing left. There's nothing that is stuck on the other side. It all came off pretty well clean, right? But this thing is so distorted. At some point when somebody put this together, this is what happened to the gasket, because that gasket, it's kind of hard for me to show you, but that gasket, it doesn't want to move. It's there. I mean, I can't like easily push that back. So it's been like that for a long time. Same way with that. That split apart, you know, it doesn't easily want to go back together. So it's been like that for a long time. But as long as I got enough squish, this thing would get a gasket delete, which will give you a little more compression, a little more horsepower, and it would be a benefit. Plug off my fuel line, it's starting to leak. So the cylinder, see that down there? I do believe, yep, it is. I believe that is the nickel seal has flaked off, and that's the aluminum behind it, the nickel seal. I don't think I can flake that off. The cylinder's scuffed up pretty bad, as you can see. So this cylinder for most is no good. You may be able to save it if it weren't for the chipped nickel seal. That's what I think it is right at this moment. Yeah, I feel my fingernail getting caught in a downward position, not in an upward position. So I think it's the nickel seal is chipped away, not metal sitting on top of the nickel seal. Yeah. So even this cylinder cannot be saved. Just a trash cylinder or something to practice some your grinding on. All right, so let the customer know, give them an idea how much parts are going to cost, a rough estimate on labor, and go from there. Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll want to fix it. So I ordered a bunch of stuff for this, and I ordered from HL Supply. HL Supply is a dealer with Highway. These are the first Highway parts I've ever ordered. So I'm kind of starting to, open some things up and check out the quality of it. You know, listen to some of the guys on YouTube, you know, like Iron Horse and Bellhopper and Tin Man. They seem to like this stuff. They think it's pretty nice. It's pretty decent. OEM quality, maybe not quite, but it's very close, they say. So I bought some hoses. I got the bearing for the piston and connecting rod. Impulse hose. I got the compression relief. This cylinder supposedly comes with a compression relief hole for it, and so, but the original did not. These gaskets are not highway gaskets. I thought they were going to be. Gaskets and seals. So this here is that heat shield. It's right there. So that's kind of nice because this is starting to delaminate and come apart. Cleaned it up real good and maybe try to put that back on there. Comes with the cylinder gasket. I'm not sure. It looks like it might be metal. Typically you don't see a paper gasket that has that bevel in it like that. You usually see that in metal type gaskets, so that when you tighten down on it, that bevel will flatten out and apply pressure everywhere. I think the old one was a paper one. Can't find it in that mess right now. I'll check it out later. These seals do look correct. One small one, one big one. Crank gasket. I probably won't need that. I don't plan on taking it apart that far. And then you got the exhaust gasket. The only thing I didn't like is I actually stuck it in here like this and it didn't quite fit in the box, so it curved a little bit. And you can see a little bit of wrinkling there. But other than that, this stuff looks fine so far. This is Highway's heavy duty air filter. Excuse me. By the way, this stuff is packaged very nicely. Comes in a nice, thick, heavy box. Plus it comes wrapped up in plastic, which is actually sealed. I've just cut it open, that's all, but it's actually sealed, which is kind of nice. In this filter, you have this outer layer, and then underneath this layer is like a flock type material with wire, kind of like you see on Stihl stuff. And then you got this foam insert that sets in here also. It's a coarse foam, so it has very good filtering capabilities, I believe. I don't see anything wrong with it. This will filter your fine stuff, so with that inner flock, and then this will catch. So I think it's pretty nice. It seems to be built well. I'm not sure how the factory ones look, the stock ones, because this saw didn't come with a filter at all, so I don't know what the stock one looks like. But this groove does match up pretty good with the groove on this rubber groove here on the saw. It does match up fairly nice. So I just felt it lock in. Fell right into that groove. I can't even twist it. We're good. One thing I forgot or didn't pay attention to is that this nut was missing. So I've got to get that ordered. So maybe the customer hasn't. I don't know. I haven't asked him yet. So just starting to open up the muffler. So like this bag comes sealed. It doesn't come out. It comes in a box and a bag. So this looks very similar to the one that came on the saw. It is a dual port, so here and here. It does have the baffle on the inside, just like the stock one does. And it doesn't look like it's all welded in. I didn't need this. The stock one was okay. It's just that it came with the kit. It was part of the kit. But it was nothing that was actually needed. So, you know, I might put the new one on there and keep his old one, and modify the old one. I might even modify this one for, I don't know. It doesn't use it for much of anything, is what I'm told. It's not like he does firewood or anything. He just cuts stuff up every now and then. I think it's his dad's saw. So I think he wants to, you know, fix it up and just get it going. It's not like him and his dad are gonna go cutting firewood. His dad's 80-some years old, so but his dad gets around real good, still driving and everything. Seems like he's got all his wits to him. Likes to kid and carry on. Pretty good fella. So yeah, that muffler looks nice. To me, it looks like it's probably some OE quality at least. Alright, here's the cylinder kit. This is the most important part. This is the part that I really want to see the quality of. So it's kind of nice. And this is a highway kit, and this is cool. These rings come in a nice container. A container that you could actually reuse for something else. I guess you gotta be smarter than the box. These rings look pretty nice. There's nothing here that stands out. Feel pretty good. They're not like real smushy or anything. Got some tension to them. So far that's nice. So I got another base gasket. So whichever one I want to use, I'll do that. I like to do a gasket delete, but with the stock cylinder, I'm not able to do a gasket delete. Believe it or not, the stock squish is the best squish I've ever seen on a stock machine saw. It actually would bottom out. It hit the top of the cylinder. That was before I even measured the squish, but it's too tight. I can't do it that gasket delete on the stock cylinder, so I'll see what I can do on, oh, there we go. For a second there, I was wondering, man, that takes one of the little small spark plugs. I was like, what the hell? Oh, never mind. But anyway, kind of like how they package this. It's pretty nice. Pistons right there. Nice, clean looking piston. Oh man, it just slides right out nice and easy. And this is supposed to be a nickel seal. Clips look nice. And the pin looks nice. But if I can, I might try to, use the old one, because the old one is thin on the outside edges and it thickens up here. I'm just thinking the factory did that just help shed some weight. So this piston looks pretty decent. There's nothing that really stands out that says don't use it. Pretty nice casting. I know Iron Horse, well, some of these pistons, and I think it's the highway piston, he will harden these because he thinks these are just a little too soft, and he'll put them in the oven. Of course, not the Weiss oven. He's got a little oven he keeps out in his shed or his shop, and he'll put them in there to 400 degrees for a few hours, and I believe he just lets them air cool. And says they do better that way. This does have sharp edges on it, so I'm going to do like Iron Horse and Tin Man do. I'll go around and break all these sharp edges. I'm going to round these little pointy corners off on the piston. They're just so pointy, just round them over a bit. And Dremel and my Fordham wannabe. I got the Fordham looking tool that Harbor Freight offers, and so far it's done good. I've done a little bit of work with it so far. The foot pedal's decent, and I got my 1 foot pedal is hooked up for both of these. And the only thing that I want to do is my Dremel has a switch on it, so I can turn it on and off, so they're both not running at the same time. But my Fordham, my wannabe Fordham, doesn't have a switch on it, so I might put a switch on that so that when I'm running the Dremel, I can switch this one off. Right now I have to unplug it every time I do it, so I just need to give me a little inline switch for it. Excuse me, guys. This pollen's killing me. And the news weather guy said we got 6 weeks of this mess. Not really looking forward to it. So yeah, a nice little cleanup on these pistons. I might be able to open these port holes up a little bit. Maybe just give them some better flow characteristics. Other than that, it's a nice flat top piston. And if I hold this in the light just right, I can see a faint numbering, ST046, whatever that is. But it pallets the top of the piston pretty good. Might go in here and just blend all that stuff in like Iron Horse does. I'd like to do some work to this thing. The guy really doesn't know that I would like to do that. I haven't asked him. But around here, people don't know or care much about Portland. I'm trying to change that. We have a logging industry here, but our land is so flat that we don't need to use sawyers. So most of the work around here is done by heavy machinery. Every once in a while we'll have to use a sawyer and go in there and fell some of the trees, but 99.9% of it is done by heavy machinery around here. Edges are chamfered very nicely. The nickel coating is pretty much everywhere. The squish band, it's a wide squish band. But it looks, not really measuring it, it looks even. Don't think I'll be able to widen the lower transfers any. Oh, yes I can. I can widen them a lot. On the stock saw, the stock piston has these ears that wrap around here a little more. So see how this is pretty much like most pistons, but this one's got this ear that wraps around the side a little bit more. And that got very close to the transfer, so I wasn't sure if I could widen it or not, but something was telling me I wouldn't be able to, so I wouldn't have done it with this. But since this piston's a little different, and it looks like I'll have plenty of room to do it. I'll be able to widen it. And, for the most part, they look to be very close to the same. And I busted a screw up on this one, but you can tell, look, man. We actually smeared and trapped the ring right inside the piston. pretty decent fit. Yes, it is a very decent fit. Alrighty. Goes in a little cleaner on the opposite side. I think it'll float right in there. A touch of oil. Pretty decent. Got a good crosshatch in it. So I think if I was to do any port work on this, I could widen these transfers and drop them down some to get a better entrance into the saw, or from the saw into here. So our kind of fan is going to hit a bit of a lip there. If I widen it and just trap all this air like this and compress it, and just let it come firing out the upper transfers. Can't wait to start putting this together. There's a little lip in the inside of here. See what these numbers are would be interesting too. I don't think it's a lip. I think it's just where it goes down like that and then turns and goes like that. It's not like that. Yeah. So it goes down like that and then straight across like that. So the old cylinder versus the new cylinder. As I notice it's total. So here on the sides, you definitely tell that this is the big bore. Nice. All the holes line up nicely. The base lines up nicely. So, oh yeah. Beautiful. Awesome. All right.